And then lastly, to kind of bring this full circle and really start talking about some real estate investing, you are a private lender. So you have lent out to several different real estate investors on several different real estate investing projects, along with, being an investor in startups, established businesses. And a lot of our viewership, like one of the most common questions I get once I introduce the concept of private lending is, well, how can I find those? And what are these private lenders looking for? So I thought, I don't think I've had a private lender on the channel before, so I just wanted to take a moment and figure out, like, what attracts you to lending on real estate, and what do you look for in a person to decide, or a deal or business, on whether or not you'll invest with them.
Well, you touched on real estate earlier, right? Real estate is an investment that almost always makes money, and it's relatively safe and it's relatively stable. And if we go back to my values, right? One of my values is security. And part of that security is financial. Mm-hmm. So why do I invest in real estate? Well, because you make money, it's safe, and it's stable. What do I look for when I'm going to lend money? I think it's two things. I don't know if it's an actual word, but I'm going to call it good humanness, right? And trust. And is this person who I'm going to, and it goes back to, is it the model or the operator? Right? Is this person, is he or she a good human? And do I trust them? And I use the trust equation from, the book, The Trusted Advisor. Are they reliable? Do they do what they say they're going to do? You see a trend here, by the way? And then, are they credible? Do they actually know what they're talking about? Is there a relationship? And then, what's their orientation or their motives, right? Is it all about them, or are they looking to do something bigger? And so, do you do what you say? Do you know your stuff? Are you investing in the relationship that we have? And why are you doing what you're doing? Is it all about you, or is there something bigger? Mm-hmm. And there's 3 levels of trust, and this might be a horrible model, by the way, but it's mine. Are you a good human? And do I enjoy spending time with you? That's level 1. I said I was a bourbon drinker, right? So level 2 is, am I going to enjoy drinking some really good bourbon with you and having some deep conversations that go with that really big ice cube in that small glass, right? And you talked about the team that you have and how, if you go into another venture, that's the team you're going to take. Well, very similarly, and it's based on my background, would I go to war with you? That's level 3, right? That's the level 3 trust. And, those levels are determined, basically by the amount of money I'm going to invest with somebody. And have I got it right all the time? Nope. Absolutely not. And goes back to one of my strengths, right? We talked about the Gallup Strength Finder. One of my strengths is I'm an activator. So sometimes, very similar to you, I ready, fire, aim, right? And one of the investments I did through WeFunder, I really invested in terms of the operator. I invested in the lead investor. I did not invest in the operator. And what happened? I lost all my money, right? So I didn't take the time to figure out if the operator was somebody I trusted and whether or not they were a good human. The lead investor was. We spent time, we had a relationship and everything else, but I didn't realize that I was betting on the wrong horse. I was betting on the wrong jockey.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, on this channel, I've spent a lot of time, and I sometimes feel pretty cheesy when I do it because people are like, hey, how do you find private lenders? And I'm like, well, first off, you have to be the type of person that people would want to lend their money to. And it's kind of vague. I don't think I articulate it well, and it's not as actionable as I would like. But at the same time, I don't think, especially when it comes to private lenders and this relationship that you're describing, right? Like this 100% takes a serious amount of time, energy, and effort on both parties. And I don't think the actual real estate transaction, I don't think the underlying investment has nearly as much to do with the it's not like a transaction, I suppose, is what
No.
I'm trying to say. When it comes to private lending, you can find some institutional money of like hard money lenders without the relationship, but you're going to pay for it. And it's going to cost more. There's going to be a lot more hoops, a lot more paperwork to jump through. And when it comes to private lending, it is 100% all about the relationship. And I feel like I got a little bit of edification by your answer there. And I
Yeah,
think
I
I
mean,
can
I
learn a
think
lot.
I shared with you, my first in private lending investment, and it was when I lived down in Florida, and it was a former Marine, a retired sergeant major who wanted to open up his own gym. We had been connected through some veteran service organizations and other things, so we had a relationship. And then we had a conversation about, hey, you know what, this is what I want to do, this is why I want to do it, right? So I understood the motives behind it. So there was relationship there. He was credible in the space, and he was reliable. So how did that, and if there's any lawyers on the call or anything else, they're going to be like, how did we cement this investment? A handshake on a sidewalk, literally a handshake on a sidewalk. He's
Mhm.
like, well, what do you need from me? I said, I need you to shake my hand and tell me that you're going to pay me back. Okay. And that's how it worked. And the next day I wired some money into his checking account. And you know what? He's had this gym for several years now, through a pandemic. And I always knew that, based on the relationship that we had, based on his values, and his dream and his definition of success, that I had nothing to worry about. So it was all about the relationship, like you talked about. And he was a good human.
Right. And I guess he's made good
Yeah.
on that handshake. Yep.
Yep. But absolutely get things in writing, by the way.
Yeah. 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 I think that's probably important. But I mean, to your point, I mean, you find, when things aren't in writing, you learn about someone's character really quick. Now, that's an
Yeah.
expensive way to learn about people's character, but nonetheless, people show their
Yeah.
colors pretty quickly when things enter
100%.
like a gray area.
I invested in another company, and the founder CEO. There was just you know things were in writing, but some of the stuff that was in writing, you're like, where is this coming from? Why does this need to be in writing? And then we had a very frank conversation that went to, if we go back to like the core values, right? The honor, courage, and commitment stuff. And I said, what you have in writing seems to be questioning my honor and my commitment to you and your organization. So if you continue to operate this way, don't expect any more money. Don't expect any more advisory services or anything else. And it goes
Mhm.
back to that relationship and that trust. And once we had that frank conversation, things got better.
I think one of the I don't remember where I heard this from, but to be unclear is to be unkind is one of my favorite quotes. And I think being very clear on your expectations in all the ways that you've laid out today, all it does is it's only beneficial.
Yeah.
There's nothing bad that can happen from being too clear, except maybe you just get to your like the end result a little bit sooner as
Yep.
far as determining or finding out that it's just not a good fit. Thanks for watching that clip. I thought that was a good question. And I think you can ask good questions too. Join us every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live stream Q&A where we answer plenty of questions just like this one. In the meantime, consider subscribing to the channel if you want more of this content. And if you want to increase your deal flow, analyze properties better, and help me feed my family, Click the link below for a free 7-day trial of PropStream.